your shoulders can feel better and be more resistant to injury. I'm going to show you the basics of shoulder mobility so you can improve movement, reduce pain, and build strength where you need it most for Ultimate. I'm Brian, a trainer and Ultimate player, and I've overcome decades of severe shoulder injuries and surgery on my throwing shoulder to come back and play at a very high level. And I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to know to help your shoulders feel and perform better for the long term. So we're going to break down some fundamental shoulder mobility movements, first internal and external rotation, then shoulder cars, then scapula cars. I'm going to show you throughout this how to adjust and how to progress if you deal with pain or want more of a challenge. And then at the end, we're going to throw in a little bonus, stuff I wish I had started doing way sooner. So let's get going. Our shoulders internally and externally rotate, and it's very important that we are able to do this, that we do it regularly, and we get a feel for what it actually feels to move in these ranges. So when we internally rotate our shoulders, that is when the upper arm, the bicep, turns inward towards our body. External rotation is when it turns outward away. Okay? Internal, external. When we start moving our shoulder in other positions, sometimes it can get a little bit confusing. So I want you to really feel what this movement is like with your shoulders. Now, as we rotate internally, notice that I can rotate down here without even using my shoulder, and I can kind of trick myself into thinking I'm turning internally. But look at my bicep. If that's not turning, then I'm not rotating my shoulder. Okay, so I want this rotation, and I want to feel the muscles around my shoulders working to create that rotation. You might feel your forearms and your wrist and your hand trying to turn a little bit. That's okay, but I want you to try to feel the shoulders more than the stuff below your arm or in your lower arm. Okay? So as we're doing this, focus on what you're feeling and what it means to internally and externally rotate your shoulder. What's really nice about this is a low stress position for the shoulder. So if you're dealing with pain, it's something that almost everyone can do to some degree. Okay, you can probably, with your arm by your side, do some degree of internal and external rotation. If you're dealing with severe pain, stop watching this video, see a professional, doctor, physical therapist, get assessed, okay? This is not for severe pain, this is not medical advice. Got that out of the way. Now, if you want to progress this a little bit, a couple things you can do. You could hold a weight, you could hold and squeeze a tennis ball. So learning to create tension is a very helpful way to get more out of these exercises. So I can squeeze and rotate and rotate. Okay, so this is really nice. Another thing I can do is bring this out to the side. Up here is going to tend to be a lot tougher. People might not be able to rotate as far. And I will also note, this is my surgically repaired shoulder. It's not going to move a massive amount, so I want you to focus on what's going on with your shoulder and not mine. It is healthy though and feels great. So there's always hope. Now we are going to use this practice for internal and external rotation for our shoulder cars, which is big shoulder rotations. So I'm going to show you one, we're going to go through it together, and I'm going to talk you through what I want you to think about. So first off, you can do whatever you want with the other shoulder. I'm going to do a big, slow rotation, trying not to move the rest of my body. Okay, little movement's okay. Boom. Now we're going to walk through it step by step. So I'm going to start, arm by my side, externally rotate the shoulder. Then I'm going to come across my chest, reach up, try and scrape my face with my biceps up as high as I can go. Then I'm going to start rotating internally. That's where this practice pays off. I'm going to continue rotating internal, 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 internal until I get way back behind me, then down by my side. Then I'm going to reverse, go backwards, rotate externally, then up, bicep by my face, across, keep rotating externally, and down. So a couple things you want to focus on. First, move slowly. Do not push through pain. As long as you're doing that, you can hone in the rest over time. It does not have to be perfect. Okay, so think about it again. Rotate externally. Come across, elbows straight. Reach up. Once you max out this flexion up overhead, then you're going to start internally rotating. And you're going to keep trying to internally rotate more as you go into extension back behind you and try to bring your arm to your butt. Then you're going to reverse extension. Once you max that out, you're going to start externally rotating Continue externally rotating. Try to keep your arm close to you this way. So if there's someone next to you, you wouldn't smack them. Come across your chest and down. That is a shoulder car. They do not all have to be that focused or that slow, but I like to teach it that way so people learn what to feel. You can try with the other shoulder. I'm going to demonstrate with my other shoulder here. Across, up, rotate, reach back. Make sure you're breathing as you're doing this. And what you see in that shoulder car, your ability to coordinate it, how much you compensate, how easy or stable it feels, that all is a peek inside your overall shoulder health and function. So if one side looks and feels significantly different, that's instructive, right? You might want to spend more time on the side that's more difficult, and you may notice a difference between my sides. These rotations and shoulder cars are extremely beneficial for your overall shoulder mobility and health. We need to be moving through rotation and through large pain-free ranges of motion regularly to give our joints the best chance at being healthy, being stable, and strong. Now let's move on to scapula cars, and then we'll look at some adjustments and progressions. So for the scapula or the shoulder blade, what we're going to do is arms at our sides. I'm going to just have you start by shrugging up and pulling down. Okay, think about pulling your shoulders up toward your ears, drawing them down toward your feet in a straight line, up and down, up and down. Then we're going to keep our arms straight, keep the rest of our body still, and we're going to bring shoulders forward and back. So roll forward, pinch back, roll forward, pinch back. And you can think about your shoulder blades. They kind of go like this to go forward, and they pinch back together like so. Roll forward, pinch back. Everything else staying still. Now what we're going to do is put that all together in a scapula car in a big rotation. This is commonly seen as some kind of a shoulder roll, but we want to bring a little bit more focus to it, push it through our max range of motion. So I'm going to have you shrug up, pinch back, pull down toward the feet, roll forward. Shrug up, pinch back, pull down, roll forward. Shrug up. Now we're going to reverse it, so you're going to go the other direction. Shrug up and roll forward. Pull down, pinch back. Shrug up, roll forward, pull down, pinch back. That is a scapula car. These are really nice because while they don't directly move our shoulder joint, our glenohumeral joint, they move everything else around it. So if you are dealing with shoulder stiffness, inflammation, or pain, and you can't do a lot of big movements, you can almost always move your shoulder blades with a little bit more intensity to get your shoulders to adapt and start to feel better. Now I'm going to take you through a few adjustments and progressions on the floor for all the movements we just went over. All right, so first we're going to go through some shoulder rotations, then some shoulder cars, then some different scapula cars. So straight arms, you can work on some rotations on the ground, and this is so you can get a little bit different angle practicing the rotations, but your arms are supported, so they just get to lie on the ground. So this is nice for if you are dealing with a shoulder that's giving you pain. Okay, it's an adjustment you can use to encourage some extra pain-free movement. Another version of these that can also give you a nice objective measure of your internal and external rotation is to get your elbows out to the side. So your arms, elbows, straight line between them, like so. I want you to kind of tuck your pelvis a little bit so that your back is mostly flat against the ground. Okay, and then you're going to internally and externally rotate. Okay, now I have had a lot of shoulder injuries, so again, don't compare yourself to me, whether it's better or worse. Doesn't matter. We just want to move where we can for now and observe what we feel and what we see. All right, so this is internal. This is external. Now what I like to do here is go nice and slow. And on internal, I want you to make sure you're keeping your shoulders down. You're not letting the shoulders roll forward or shoulder blades come off the ground. They're down and back as you rotate. And then if you can get all the way back here, awesome. You can even kind of push your hands into the floor if you're able to. So it's a little extra fun, a little extra strength if you can push in a little bit. If you can bring your hands all the way down here, awesome. You could push them in gently as well. But we always want to start gentle before we do anything intense with this. Okay, now we're gonna go into alternative shoulder cars. So with any of the cars or rotations, we can be creative and find positions that work for us. So I find some people have an easier time with this, depending on the type of pain they're dealing with or stiffness. They have an easier time with shoulder cars down here than standing. So I'll show you what we're gonna do, and I'll use a ball just for fun. JFF, just for fun. Okay, so I'm going to go here. I still want the rest of my body nice and still. I like to bring my chest forward a little bit so that I'm not tempted to lean back. So it's forward a little bit. I'm gonna scrape my arm across the ground, reach way up, right? And as I get overhead, I'm gonna start internally rotating, reaching back behind. Gravity is gonna kind of help me get down and back here, which is fun. I'm gonna find my backside, I'm gonna reverse it, extension, reaching back, then I'm gonna start externally rotating. Bring up, overhead, down toward the floor if I can, just like that. Okay, so this is another nice version. What's also nice about this, if you have trouble coordinating and keeping the rest of your body out of this, my whole right side is glued to the ground here, so that's not moving. And if it does move, you'll feel it. So this gives you a little bit different awareness while you're doing the shoulder car. And it's not uncommon if you're just starting out to get a little bit lost and kind of like, what am I doing here? But remember, we don't need it to be perfect. We can hone in over time. The key is we're going through a big range of motion, we're staying pain-free, and we're building better connection with our shoulder and our body over time. And if you need to go back to just the regular rotations first, totally cool. It might make these easier eventually. Okay, now we're gonna get into some scapula cars from here. So I'm gonna go through and show you a different version now with the hands planted and our arms out in front of us. So this is sometimes a little bit tougher, but it's a version that I would love for you to try and practice. So we're gonna go with our hands a little wider than our shoulders, a little in front of our shoulders, and we're gonna keep our midsection, our back, and everything nice and still. And we're gonna do just what we practiced standing. We're gonna shrug up, pinch our shoulder blades together, draw them towards our feet and hips. Then we're gonna push away. So it's a little different. Same movement with our shoulder blades, but our orientation is different. Our arms are in a different position. As we're doing this, we wanna try to keep our arms nice and straight and keep the rest of the body still. So this is probably a little bit more of a progression. Now we're going to draw the shoulder blades toward our hips, pinch together, shrug up, push away. Back toward the hips, pinch together, shrug up, push away. This one is often more challenging because we are putting some weight into it, but we also have our hands fixed. When we're standing, our arms can move a little bit and it's much easier to compensate. This is much tougher because our hands are fixed, we can't compensate as much, but it's a really good way to build some extra awareness and make things a little bit more challenging. Now, speaking of challenging, a few ways we can make our rotations and our shoulder cars a little bit more challenging is to add a little bit of resistance. So if I'm doing rotations, seated, standing, kneeling, whatever position it may be, I can bring my arms out away from me, which is gonna add tension, and then I can rotate and rotate with some degree of weight. And really, I can do that in any position. So any spot throughout your cars where you're like, I don't feel like super stable, I don't feel extremely comfortable, you can post up in that spot and do shoulder rotations like so. Any part of your car. So doing your cars is kind of like an assessment, and you can identify places where you want to spend more time. Now, your initial reaction is you want to speed through those and spend less time there, but really we want more time. So you can do it without weight, and that might be challenging enough. You could add resistance, add weight. This is typically a pretty tough spot right here, okay? And remember, we want to make sure that we're actually getting rotation from the shoulder. Okay, so as a progression, work on those spots that are more challenging, add small amounts of resistance if you can, or add time. So you could do it for 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Then again, these are tough positions for the shoulder, so I would start add like a tennis ball, then add a pound, then maybe 2 pounds. 5 pounds is a lot of weight initially for your shoulder, but over time you can gradually build up to build more resilience, and then your shoulder cars will improve too. So just like with the rotations, a way we can progress the shoulder cars is gradually adding the weight adding time under tension, adding reps, and sometimes just slowing down the reps can be very, very challenging and humbling, even though we're just moving our shoulder around, right? So if I go here, check this out, this is gonna be tough. I'm gonna squeeze really tight, I'm gonna create tension through the rest of my body, and I'm gonna go nice and slow. I'm gonna try not to speed through any part of this. That's that tough spot for me. Going back, rotate, up. Really tough here, and then coming down. So, really challenging. If you're interested in more mobility training, mobility progressions, how you can incorporate it into an Ultimate Frisbee training program, I do have an Ultimate Mobility membership that I've linked in the description. And now let's check out some bonus exercises I think you're gonna love for your shoulders. Bonus exercise number 1 is weighted scapula cars, heavy weight. So people are used to doing things like farmer carries or shrugs, but we wanna take our scapula slowly through its fullest range of motion. So this is a really nice way to load up and get some heavy resistance at your shoulder, even if you're not yet comfortable doing things like bench press, pull-ups, pull-downs, etc. This is a lower stress position where you can load up more quickly than other positions, but still be smart with it. Whew, that's fun. Bonus exercise number 2 out of 3, we're gonna do breaking the stick with shoulder flexion. Let me walk you through it. So I've got my hands a little wider than shoulder width apart. I'm going to pretend I'm gonna try to break it and bend it like that. Then, while holding that tension, so my shoulders are kind of externally rotating, I'm gonna press it hard into my thighs. I'm gonna start to feel the muscles on the back of my shoulder and my back working. I'm gonna hold that for a few seconds, and then I'm gonna slowly lift overhead, keeping my body nice and solid. Imagine that this is super heavy. I'm gonna lift slowly, actively pulling it up as high as it will go, with my back staying pretty straight. Way up, way up, way up. Feel the muscles in the back of my shoulders working, and then we're gonna pull down. Imagine there's a cable on the ceiling pulling against me. I'm trying to pull down, pull down, pull down, pull down, trying to break the stick, drive it into my thighs, and relax. It's a great way to build tension, build strength, build control through a large range of motion. It requires some focus, it might require some practice before it feels challenging, but trust me, if you can get your imagination on point here, this is a fantastic exercise. Final exercise here, this is a progression, one of my favorites for prepping the shoulders for layouts. So you're gonna get a slider, or you could use a towel or a sock or something on a slidey floor. That works as well. So I'm having one hand planted, one hand on the slider, and I'm gonna do a push-up while sliding out, keeping all of this nice and flat going down toward the floor. So I'm gonna reach, push up. Initially, maybe you just work on going slowly out and then come up nice and easy. Once you're ready, then you can progress to out and up like that. What I love about this is that it trains both shoulders, and you can shift your weight to one side or the other to make it harder on this one or harder on the sliding one, right? So I can go here and look at this kind of awkward position that my left shoulder's in, right? So I can put a lot of weight here and kind of that bracing shoulder that we often land on, make that work really hard. I can also put more weight on my sliding shoulder so that that arm that's outstretched, maybe with the disc hitting the ground, it gets really prepared for those type of forces and resisting them. So this gets a little bit more specific. You may not be ready for it right now, but as your shoulders start to feel better and get stronger, it's something you can slowly work in so that you are prepared as well as you can be for Ultimate. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope your shoulders are feeling good, and most importantly, that you have some tools to use moving forward. Thanks for joining. Have an amazing day.